Why the 2023 Genesis GV60 has not lived up to our expectations. Genesis has made a lot of waves in the automotive industry lately. Thankfully, for mostly good reasons. Hyundai's spin-off of a luxury brand has done a lot of things right and churned out a lot of very impressive luxury vehicles in recent years. The vehicles are very attractive and dance the fine line between luxury and performance. But this does not mean that Genesis is not free of blunders. Unfortunately, it is looking like the new electric GV60 crossover may be falling into that category. There are a lot of reasons that it simply just does not live up to the legacy its other Genesis siblings are currently paving. Given that the electric crossover market is growing rapidly and is increasingly competitive, it's a pity that Genesis has this kind of start into a vital market. With this in mind, here is what makes the Genesis GV60 a lackluster foray into the electric vehicle market. The 2023 Genesis GV60, upstaged by its corporate siblings. With Genesis being related to both Hyundai and Kia, a lot of parts are shared between a lot of the three companies. In fact, normally the vehicles in each of these three brands are just reskin versions of each other. In the case of the GV60, it shares its powertrains and a lot of components with the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and Kia EV6. But the unfortunate case is that the GV60 should be at the top of this trio of electric crossovers. The challenge is that both the Hyundai and Kia prove themselves as viable alternatives to the GV60. In terms of a powertrain, the GV60 maxes out in terms of horsepower at 429 for the performance trim. In comparison, the upcoming Kia EV6 GT bests that by a significant margin at 576 horsepower. There have also been rumors and spy shots that a performance-oriented Hyundai Ioniq 5N is on the horizon with a horsepower rating that will surely be close to the EV6. It is questionable why someone would pay a premium for the GV60 when you have alternatives that offer more value and performance. The GV60 is not the most handsome electric crossover. There are a lot of attractive electric crossovers, and the Genesis GV60 does not fit into this crowd or even into the group of Genesis' other crossovers like the GV70 and GV80. Genesis has done wonders on their designs but dropped the ball with the GV60. Instead of the usual regal front end of a Genesis, the GV60 looks very ungainly. The front grille is positioned unusually low, and the coupe-like profile does not execute the style as well as other like the Mercedes-Benz GLC Coupe or Audi Q8. Genesis has developed a compelling design language but has not fully applied it to the GV60. Genesis has done a lot of things right when it comes to the crossovers that it has produced. The GV60 is not an outright disappointment of a vehicle, but it could have lived up to so much more now that we know what Genesis is truly capable of. Thankfully, an all-electric GV70 is right around the corner and will hopefully redeem Genesis' electric reputation. The GV60 immediately pulls me in thanks to its styling. Smooth lines are the name of the game here, a contrast to its sharply angled siblings. My tester is clad in a $575 coat of white paint, which does make it look like an egg, but a cool egg. Genesis Giant S-MAW is lower on the front fascia than on its gas cars, but it's still there, and the dual-layer headlights and taillights also help keep the GV60's looks within the family. There are a few crazy angles, but they're used in limited amounts. The zag in the C-pillar looks pretty slick, and my tester's 21-inch alloy wheels are among my favorites in the industry. The GV60's interior is even funkier. The Ioniq 5's trick sliding center console may not be here, but you know what is? A metric boatload of blue Napa leather and neon green contrast stitching and piping. Most touch points are soft, or knurled, or otherwise visually interesting. The GV60 isn't a car that takes itself too seriously, and I like that. And better yet, this stuff is all standard on the performance trim, not an options package in sight. There are some really neat elements inside the GV60, like the shift dial that flips over when the car is shut off, giving you an orb to ponder. The door handles are circular, but unlike a Mini's, they're ergonomic. The steering wheel has an enticing bright green boost button on it, more on that later. The rear seat cup holders are integrated cleanly into the door's armrests. The whole thing feels very well thought out. Genesis and its parent company have long had one of the best in-car tech setups in the automotive industry, and the jump to electrification didn't change that one bit. The GV60 comes standard with a pair of 12.3-inch screens,